Hi, I am Raina Gilead, and this is episode 13 of the Luster Leadership Series. This series explores AEC industry trends, highlighting the voices of the industry. Today, I have the honor of interviewing Dave Wilkins, who has enjoyed a long career in executive and senior level roles in the management and administration of large scale engineering and construction projects for over 30 years. David has been with AC Transit for nearly 12 years. He was the program director for the $232 million bus rapid transit program. This is the largest capital improvement project ever undertaken by AC Transit, as well as the largest and most complex transit transportation project ever in the East Bay. The project was successfully completed and branded as Tempo that started service August 2020. Currently, Dave is directing efforts to restore the district's sustainability and climate action programs. In this capacity, he led a team to develop a climate action sustainability plan, prepared a plan to implement various sustainability initiatives, and is working to create a climate resiliency plan. He also continues to lead the district's obligation to address post-BRT construction issues and administer interagency responsibilities. He is a graduate of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, the University of San Francisco, and the Army Command and General Staff College. He is also a retired Army Corps of Engineers officer and a combat veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. Dave, thank you so much for being here.
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I mean, gosh, like that, you saw me do a couple little fumbles because there's so much accomplishments to get through. It's like it's very impressive and it's very creatively like exciting for us to be able to have you here and really kind of like crack into some issues and some questions that we'd love to know about the industry. So I'm just going to jump right in there and start picking your brain. And my first question to you is, how do you feel AC Transit changed basically since you first started working with the company? So in your opinion, this could be changes in staff, changes in representation, technology. Where have you seen changes since you've started with AC Transit?
Yeah, I think the changes have been significant in the time I've been here. The main, I think the main change has been the people.
Yeah.
When I first arrived at AC Transit, we were at the tail end, but still deeply recovering from a major reduction in force.
Right.
So the district, prior to my arrival, during the recession from 2008 to roughly 2012 or thereabouts, when I started, there was a major reduction in force. Virtually half the administrative staff of AC Transit was laid off.
Right.
There was a reduction in service, so things were very challenging at the district, and the climate here and the environment here was difficult for a lot of people. And over the course of time, staff has changed. I think that we have presently a very solid, capable, I would even say excellent group of directors and senior staff here. We've had a general manager that's been with us almost 10 years now. A new general manager since I've been here that's been here about 10 years now. We've installed some policies and procedures. We've improved our operations. So we've done a lot of things here at AC Transit to really make it a better running organization from top to bottom, with improvements in staff and policies, procedures, personnel, and and then we've also, I think, done things to try to modernize ourselves as a transit agency.
Right.
We are the AC Transit is the leading organization in zero emission bus fleet. We are the largest hydrogen fuel cell bus fleet in the nation. AC Transit, by the way, if you didn't know, is the third largest bus only transit agency in the United States. We're the
No.
third largest transit agency in California behind LA Metro and San Francisco Muni. But as a bus only agency, we're the third largest in the United States. So, with a fleet of over 650 buses that provide service to the East Bay every day. So, so we're unique in that regard,
Yeah.
and we're modernizing our fleet to be completely zero emission bus fleet by 2040. So we're well on our way there. We're going to have a mix of approximately 30% electric and 70% hydrogen fuel cell battery electric buses that will make up our future fleet. But we're also doing things to make the overall infrastructure here more sustainable. So there's a combination of things that have taken place and improvements that have taken place over the time that I've been here that really demonstrate AC Transit's commitment to constantly evolving and making itself a better organization.
Right. That's, and I think, like, you bringing up a couple points that made me think too of just the transitions and the shifts that a lot of people as well as companies had to make because of the pandemic, which of course changed the entire world. So it kind of brings me to my next question also, is that from your point of view, has AC Transit had to make any shifts in the way that it runs to meet these challenges of the post pandemic world? Like, what has that looked like for AC Transit?
Yeah, again, there have been some dramatic changes at AC Transit, which I'm sure has occurred at many other businesses. I mean, for one, we people couldn't. AC Transit was a lot different than other businesses because we are first responders,
Right.
not in the same way that, say, firefighters or um, medical and healthcare personnel are first responders, but we're first responders in the sense that we provide a service, a community service, a community benefit in transit that connects people to their jobs, to their places
Yeah.
of worship, to school, to wherever it is they may need to be. And that didn't stop because of the pandemic.
No.
In fact, our ridership is comprised mostly of people who are first line, have first line types of jobs. In other words, they don't work in an office job where they could jump on a computer and do a Zoom call. They have manual labor jobs or physical labor jobs that require them to be there. And so our bus service had to continue to run
Yeah.
in spite of the pandemic. While the office staff was experiencing what many businesses experience in terms of not being able to come to the office and have to work remotely and virtually, as well as the families and the students did as well, for the schools.
Yeah.
But we had to make some dramatic changes in what we did. So the, some of the obvious things are, what did we do with our buses? Well, one of the things that we did with our buses is we put in special filtration systems.
Mm.
And we had to replace all those across the fleet.
Wow.
So that basically, if you're familiar with like the HEPA filters that you might have or heard about on, vacuum cleaner you might have at home, we put similar types of things, but these are commercial grade types of filtration systems
Right.
on the buses, so that the air inside the bus was constantly recirculated and it was
Wow.
filtered so that fresh air was always put in. Similar things were done on aircraft in the airline
I
industry
was
as
going to say
well.
that. Yes.
So we did the same thing here at AC Transit. We also had to do social distancing on the buses. So there was a long period of time in which, buses that would normally carry, 60 to 65 passengers on our 60-foot articulated buses would only carry like 15 passengers
Right.
because we had to have 6 feet of separation between people.
Right.
So the areas on the seats had to be taped off and to space people out. We couldn't take as many people on the buses, so it affected the frequency. the rights, the amount of service that we could deliver. And again, because of the constituencies that we provided support to, even though that the ridership went down, it was still significantly more ridership than, say, BART had, because BART serves more of a white collar community.
Right.
AC Transit as a bus service serves a more blue collar community. So we still had a significant number of people that needed to be connected to all the places they need to, and we continue to provide that service. In addition, we also provided a protective shield barriers around our operator compartments to provide that extra additional safeguard for our operators. So these are the kinds of improvements and transitions that we had in our certainly in our rolling stock with our fleet, the procedures that we had to have for our operators and how they interacted with the riders themselves, how they had to interact on the buses themselves. All of those things were dramatically impacted because of the pandemic. And then within the office areas, obviously, our business, like all the other ones, worked remotely. So we had to set up systems to allow people to work remotely. That means we had to make some improvements in our IT infrastructure.
Yeah.
There was getting folks more familiar with using Zoom and Microsoft Teams, WebEx, and these other online platforms that allowed for virtual communication and conferencing. All those types of trainings and improvements within our physical systems had to be put in place. In some cases, individuals need to be assigned computers because, or individual laptops rather, or
Right.
If they didn't have the computer at home, so that they could work remotely and virtually until such time that changed. And so those were the kinds of changes. And I'm sure this was like this in many other industries, but for AC Transit, it was significant. But again, even with all those significant changes, we as an agency are unique in that we never stopped working during the pandemic, and we never went 100% total remote work,
Right.
As say a consulting firm might do, because that's not the nature of our business. We are a very hands-on business that works to provide a service directly to the community.
Well, and I'm glad that you said that, because also I think it's really important to remember that unlike other businesses, AC Transit in particular is working for the community. And so when you think about everything that you were saying, when you're thinking about who takes AC Transit, during the time of the pandemic and even in the height, you have, people who work for the post office. You have these other, critical workers. I have family members who work for the city, work for the county, who they needed to get to work. And so even I have a cousin, and she was having all kinds of car things at the time or whatever, and she relied on AC Transit in order to get to work every single day. And so when I think about, we say, okay, we changed the filtration system. Well, that is a huge deal. Like and implementing these kinds of changes with kind of rapid fire in order to not only keep AC Transit employees safe, but to keep the community safe. I think that is something that is the exact kind of thing that Lester is trying to highlight, on the importance of these kinds of things, that people, they don't even think about it, or maybe you're just not aware of what it takes to do these kinds of shifts. And even you saying about, getting people set, you have people who have, it's a lot of different age ranges. I can only imagine that work for AC Transit.
Sure.
Getting people a laptop alone is like, whoa. And then we have to figure out how to work the laptop. These are changes that it shows how much had to really go in to make it function.
Yeah. Not only function, but being responsive. And that's one of the things that I'm really proud to say about AC Transit, is how responsive we were as an agency during the pandemic. Because in addition to the things I mentioned, we also instituted all brand new cleaning protocols and sanitizing protocols
Yeah.
on our buses, in our offices, with the custodial staff,
Right.
with the staff that cleans the buses
Yep.
before they go out and after they come in, and all of that. We even had instances where we set up special testing centers in which
Wow.
AC Transit hosted and led testing over at the Coliseum. We would bring
Wow.
busloads of folks from around the community, take them there to go get the tested, go get COVID testing completed
Yep.
before the vaccinations were fully developed and distributed. And then after the vaccinations came, we did this. We did a similar type of thing where we would have bus loads of people to take them to go get vaccinations
Right.
at strategic locations throughout our service area. So there's a multitude of things that we did as an agency that really set us apart from um, a typical business and how
Yep.
they had to shift how they operated during the pandemic.
Yeah. And again, and it shows the commitment to the community and to the staff and everything for AC Transit. So
That's right.
thinking sort of also, in addition to that, outside of just the pandemic, right? Do you see a need for consulting firms to focus more on strategic preparation and high level planning? What would
Yeah,
you, yeah,
I think so. I mean, I think that especially as a result of the pandemic,
yeah,
that we as a marketplace, as an economy in the United States, or an economy here in the Bay Area, or even more localized, an economy here in the East Bay, yeah, we're in a new normal.
yeah,
And I think that one of the things that consulting firms that work with agencies like AC Transit or others can focus on is how to help these firms adapt to life in the new normal.
yeah,
And it could involve things like key performance indicators, because the KPIs that worked or that had value prior to the pandemic may not have the same value now, because we're not performing things in the same way. So how
right,
you indicate how well you're performing today is not the way that you would indicate how well you're performing in the past.
right,
And there's still a lot of companies that are struggling with identifying these key performance indicators. And so I think that's one particular area where consulting firms could help their clients develop that. I think also with their project organizational structure. For
yeah,
example, here at AC Transit, we are for the past year, so I think it was about a year ago now, maybe last October, maybe a little more than a year, we went from working remotely to now the directive is you have a hybrid work schedule with a
right,
minimum of working, say, 3 days a week. And so how do you structure that so that you can still maximize the amount of productivity that you deliver as an agency, the service you need to provide the community, but also try to meet the needs of the employees, because again, we're in the new normal.
yeah,
And so so what that organizational structure needs to look like in terms of these hybrid work arrangements that have become commonplace in the new normal.
yeah,
And and then other things too. I mean, it's when you have a excuse me, when you have a hybrid uh, work arrangement, you don't get to physically meet people, right? So you don't have
yeah,
physical meetings with people that you used to have. You may have hired an employee that you only have met virtually, and you
yeah,
don't even get to physically meet them for 30 or 45 days after they start because of the hybrid work schedule or something like that. And so all of these things play into, I think, how consulting firms can help businesses transition into the new normal transition into, well, how do you optimize these hybrid work schedules? Because we don't want our employees to leave and go someplace else. It might have a more, quote, favorable type of work schedule. And so you got to kind of balance all those things. And I think those are some of the areas where consulting firms can help agencies like ours and others.
Yeah. I was thinking about, even just for some people, there's pros and cons that personally people feel about hybrid schedules. There's a lot of pros. There's a lot of, different sort of shifts that have to be made. And it kind of makes me think of, I remember that in other, businesses, there ended up being kind of an opportunity for some employees to take the pandemic or an opportunity to then sort of retire, right? Retire early, or let this be sort of a shift that happens. And what happened in a lot of companies is then there were these gaps or these elements where then it was like, okay, we actually now during the most difficult time in the world have to also recruit, which is its own challenge, even when it's not a pandemic. So like now, post-pandemic, for example, how is AC Transit even finding and hiring, for example, let's say younger employees to replenish the ranks of retiring personnel? And are there challenges to find folks who are interested to work for public agency?
Well, I would say there's challenges in hiring everywhere in any
Yeah.
industry, not just at AC Transit. I think that we're all well aware that the job market in the United States is, quote, very tight, as they say. We
Right.
have low unemployment. It's been relatively low for the last few years. And so, I think that's a challenge for any industry and any business. For AC Transit specifically, our biggest challenge is not necessarily focused on replenishing the ranks of those who've retired, but more about bringing in operators so that we can continue to increase our service
Yeah.
to the community, um, and, um, and increase that service either by making the service more frequent or making it available in more areas. But in either case, it requires people to operate the buses, and so that's our biggest challenge. So we have certainly we have incentive programs out there. We have hiring bonuses that we've implemented here at AC Transit to try to attract new operators. We've really begun to promote more than ever the benefits that we have for employees at AC Transit. That we're one of the few industries that has a pension program for our employees, which is certainly a nice benefit. We have a great healthcare employer provided healthcare coverage, and many other benefits that are very attractive that we're really pushing out there to attract folks to become operators. And the compensation package is also very competitive. And so, I think it was about a month ago, I attended one of our new bus operators. They call it MBO, New Bus Operator Graduating Class, which was the largest graduating class that we have had in more than 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had, I think, 25 graduates in that class. And they were 25 of, I think, 27 that started. So not only was it the largest class that we've had in more than a decade, but it was also the highest percentage of those who had started and finished the initial training program.
Wow.
So that was great,
Yeah.
and so we're trending in the right direction. We still have a long way to go in terms of filling all the vacancies that we have
Right.
for bus operators, but we're going in the right direction. I think generally in the other areas of the business, it really just kind of depends. The you know the what we found is I think employees have come to like working remotely
Yeah.
to the extent that they can, and to the extent that the employer would allow them to do that. And
Yeah.
so, that's why it took a while for AC Transit to uh, finally settle on, this hybrid work schedule of, 3 days in the office, 2 days you can work remotely, or variations of that depending on what your arrangements you make with your particular department with your supervisor. But the point about that is that as an agency, as a company, we saw the value and giving some amount of flexibility to our employees, again, as an incentive to, hey, stay on with AC Transit, because we'll at least, do our best to accommodate your specific needs, for your particular situation. And I think that's been key to retention.
Yeah.
And so, because you gotta recruit, but then you also have to retain. And
Yes.
it doesn't do any good if you bring in a lot of people but you can't keep them. And it doesn't do any good if you're not doing the things for people that have been here,
Right.
to keep them excited and enthusiastic and motivated every day to come to work. So we're doing a little bit of all those things here at AC Transit, I'm proud to say, and it represents itself in what we've achieved as an organization, which is that we are the outstanding transit agency of the year for 2023. It's the first time that AC Transit has received that honor, and it's a real testament to the general manager and all the staff that work here at AC Transit.
It is that, I mean, congratulations. That's incredible. And again, I think that it's, in terms of just again piggybacking and everything that you're saying, it really goes to show you what kind of an organization AC Transit is, and who is involved in this kind of organization, and what is important, because at the end of the day, this goes down to, it comes back to people,
Right.
supporting people, whether it's supporting the people who work for the company or who benefit from the company because they are the community. And that's kind of the message that we're hearing over and over, which is incredible. So this brings me to this next point, because again, it's sort of like AC Transit is now, for me, it's like by the people for the people, you know what I mean, sort of thing, and keeping that in the forefront of why the work is being done and who the work is actually for. So what would you say, like, what is AC Transit doing to ensure the professional consultant, or to ensure the professional consultant community and the AC Transit departments understand the importance of diversity and equity and inclusion? Because essentially what you're talking about is a company that is good to its employees and good to its community. So how does diversity, equity, and inclusion fall into the ethos of AC Transit?
Well, first of all, I would say that DEI, to use the acronym, we also add accessibility here at AC Transit, is a
Yes.
big part of what we
Thank
do.
you.
I think it's part of our DNA. We add accessibility because we provide a transit service, and that service has to be accessible to everyone. It has to be accessible from a language standpoint. It has to be accessible from a mobility standpoint. Um, People have to be able to get to our buses and then get on our buses and off our buses safely, so they can get to their destination. So it's a big part of what we do here at AC Transit. And again, it should be a big part of any organization. And
Right.
the organizations and businesses that I've been associated with or know about that are successful, oftentimes also have a very successful DEI programs. Here at AC Transit, for the last couple of years, we've put a lot of energy and effort around upgrading our DEI program. I happen to be a member of the committee, the DEI committee here at AC Transit. We recently completed a very extensive, wide-ranging, and comprehensive employee survey.
Hmm.
It has not yet been published, but there will be a report coming out with recommendations and observations and finding on what's going to come out of that. But But the point is, to answer your question, is that we take that very seriously. It's a big part of what we do. It's been demonstrated by the fact that we established a. It's more about reestablishing. I think AC Transit has always had a very robust DEI program,
Yeah.
but now we're really supercharging it, and that's what we've done in the last couple of years that I've been involved with the committee. We brought in a consultant to help us with this process. Eventually, a report's going to come out. We're going to implement these recommendations, to help improve how AC Transit functions as a business, how it interacts with its employees, how its employees interact with AC Transit, how we interact also with the community that rides our buses, but also our vendor community that we work with, because we work with a lot of vendors too. So our DEI program is not just for the internal AC Transit employees, it's also external, because we provide this service to the community. So our riders, our vendors, our contractors, the consultants we work with, all of it falls under our umbrella of what we consider diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And so everything that we do, the various engagements we have, the cultural celebrations that we have here annually at AC Transit, whether it's Hispanic Heritage Month, Accessibility Month, Transit Month, whatever the case may be, we do a lot to really emphasize and promote DEI here at the district. And again, the businesses that function well have those good programs in it.
Yeah. And not to be biased, I mean, I'm obviously in, the Bay Area and have ridden AC Transit, since I was a youth. And I do have to say, like, the events and the different things that I participate in, or that I attend, I should say, because again, the Bay Area has tons of events, but in the East Bay, AC Transit is always there. AC Transit is always getting people there, and is always there in terms of a booth, a representation, not just hiring, you know what I mean? But in addition to that, also, what are the needs of the people? What are we doing great? What are some things that we should know about or that we could work on? I can attest to that personally.
That's absolutely right. I mean, not only do we generate and create, social, cultural, ethnic programs within our own ranks to acknowledge and recognize the diversity we have within the employees here at AC Transit, but we also support those that are out in the community, whether it's the Pride Celebration Month in every June, whether it's the Cherry Blossom Festival in San Leandro that they have every year, or the Diwali
I saw you guys at Dia de los Muertos.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're, like you said, you're right. AC Transit has booths, information booths out there, whether it's the Dia Festival and, like you said, in the Fruit Bowl every year, to not only promote the awareness of the service we provide, let folks know, hey, we are the East Bay's bus company. We will get you to where you need to go. But also, we take those opportunities, also let folks know that there are good employment opportunities at AC Transit as well.
That's right. So all of this, we can definitely agree that you are a happily busy man.
I'm busy. That's for sure. Yeah.
You are busy. And so this is kind of besides the business portion of your life. This is more of like on a personal note. I would just, because I think that this is just as important as all of the work that you do, is I would love to know or ask you about work-life balance. Okay. You have a very successful wife as well. Family. I mean, this is, there's, again, like life, it's a lot of different things. So, how are you? Oh, and by the way, your wife is also going to be joining this series. I'm so excited to interview her in 2024. So,
nice.
but you guys you're a powerhouse couple. You've got a powerhouse kind of life, a lot of different things going on, a lot of plates. So what is your secret, if anything, to keeping it all going and balanced with work and with family?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key is communication. When you have two professionals living under one roof that both have very demanding and time-consuming, responsibilities, jobs, but you also have responsibilities on the home front,
Right.
whether it be, with taking care of kids or perhaps taking care of elders, whatever the case may be. It's really, I think, the key is communication. Um, you know, and and it's not just communication and keeping each other informed, from a scheduling type of communication standpoint, but it's also when you need a break
Yeah.
and when you need a date night and when you just need to go be by yourself and just have some downtime. Can you shield me from all the fury and chaos around me so I can just have some peace and quiet for a moment? And helping each other out like that, I think, are some of the uh, essential ingredients to having a successful work-life balance. And so I try to keep that in mind as I get up and approach every day, and make sure that I do my part to exercise that communication.
Yeah.
And I also think that it's important to stay healthy
Yes.
physically and emotionally and spiritually. And so building time in for that into this busy schedule that we have
Mhm.
is also important, because if you're not physically fit, you can become easily fatigued by the demands of a highly intensive professional life.
Right.
And I think that just being physically healthy contributes to
Oh,
some emotional health, which is really supported strongly with good communication. And then, that all kind of connects and builds into a spiritual health. And I think if you can kind of get all those things together, then you can have a very effective, um, fulfilling work-life balance, so that things are in balance and not out of balance, because then that's what tips the scales in one direction or the other, neither of which is good, right? So you want it to
right.
just be balanced like this and not off. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of my ideas about it.
Yes. I'm taking notes. I'm going to go for a run after this. I'm going to communicate my feelings and I'm going to meditate all in one time and work, but in the
All of
right
those things
balance.
are good. Yeah, all those things are good. You don't have to do them all in one day,
No, that's
uh,
right. Day
but
by
just
day.
build it into your lifestyle. But all of those things are good. Yeah, and I try to do all of them. I meditate a little bit.
Yeah.
I try to get a little jog in here and there when I can, or if nothing else, at least a walk. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are all great.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I mean, thank you so much. I feel like, I've been looking forward to this interview and I'm so glad that we got to do it. And thank you for joining us and being a part of our leadership series. You're a longtime friend and family member really of Luster. And again, Luster
Yeah,
is all about family, just as you are, you and
yeah.
Carolyn are. And so this has been great. Really, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. I know I talked a lot, specifically more about AC transit related things and things in general, but I think the things that you asked me about and that I talked about at AC Transit are some of the best practices that can apply no matter the industry, right? And
Yes.
so I hope that what I've talked about with AC Transit today serves as an example for that. And people get something good from it. So yeah, that's great. And
Absolutely.
yes, I'm very happy to be part of the Luster family. I have been for a long time, and look forward to continuing to be for the years to come as well. This has been fun. So yeah,
Yeah,
please check in with me anytime. Be happy to talk some more about it.
absolutely. Thank you, Dave.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Okay.